how has your year been so far?
Yeah, eventful, busy. It's been good. I've accomplished a lot with what I wanted to do with work. Taking the next step in my career. I've done a bit of travel with family, with friends. Yeah, it's been good overall. I don't usually have many complaints, and I haven't found any negatives this year. So everything's been good, and definitely finding my purpose with what I'm doing a lot more. And whether it be sport, hobbies, passion, work, everything's been pretty sweet. So.
And on that, just for anyone that might not be following you, obviously human movement specialist might be a good way to put it. Do you want to give the guys that might be listening a sort of rundown on what you do day to day?
Yeah, sure. So my background is a chiropractor. So I've been a chiropractor for about 5 years now, and the more I got into it, I worked out that hands-on treatment was really, really great, but it wasn't what fixed things, and now the evidence catches up and it says the same thing. So a lot of what I do is, based off movement. Yeah, if I can get someone to move, progress it with load, and that's what actually gets people better and has to stop them seeing me. So I've started to kind of combine my passion for training on my own with treatment and opening my own gym and space, and basically combining that to get people better, get them achieving their goals, and get them moving better and not having to see me full time. So my background was water polo and swimming, did a lot of that, then got into the gym as I went on. And, when I had injuries and that, I was like, what did I do to get better? I saw people and it helped, but you always had that lingering, like 2 or 3 months later, you're like, oh shit, gotta go back. So, yeah. And I was like, well, how did I get rid of my back pain? Because I haven't had back pain in years. And I was like, I looked at the mobility I joined, I looked at the stability, I got it stronger, I adaptively loaded it the same way you would any other injury. So I was like, there's really only difference between rehab and strength conditioning is where you are on the line. Yeah. So that's basically how I treat these days. So a lot of people will be like, oh, you're more like a physio. Not really. I think physio-chiro these days, it shouldn't be much different. Okay. The idea is that exercise fixes things. The hands-on stuff modulates the pain. Yeah, it makes it feel better. If you kick your shin, you rub it, it feels better. You didn't fix anything. But yeah, it feels better. So yeah, so I've been doing that for about 4 years now. I moved out onto my own in Bondi about 2 years ago now and work over there with physio, which is unreal. It's good. And then about 8 months after that, got asked to join a gym with one of my clients. He owns his own gym just around the corner from here, and I opened up with him. It's been a good year there now, 2 years in Bondi, and then hopefully in the early stages of opening up my own gym and clinic around the corner with a friend. So busy year, yeah, a lot going on.
Busy, and you're living in Bondi?
I do, yeah. I live right on Bondi Beach.
Living out the lifestyle, you got the tan, you got the look, you got the...
Stuck in my bubble. Yeah. So absolutely. Very much my little bubble over there.
Nice.
It's good. I love it, yeah.
I live on the beach. I live on Terrigal, but going to Bondi is still like...
It's full on. I think the thing with Bondi, everyone doesn't like it because they don't. If you live there, you don't see the busyness because you don't need a park. You can walk everywhere. So you've got bars, cafes, restaurant, gym, work, everything there. So for me, it's like I'm a country boy, so it's like a country town. It's awesome. It reminds me of home. It sounds weird to a lot of people being in the city, but for me, it's awesome. I've got everything there. I've got good family, good mates there. So yeah, it's very hard to leave on the weekends. But
You've got everything at your disposal.
Absolutely.
I can relate. I grew up on a farm, but probably not as far into the country as you came from.
Aubrey. Yeah, Aubrey's pretty rural. I don't think I'm that country. Like I think I've been pretty fortunate my whole life. Like my parents looked after us very, very well. But definitely, it's definitely different to Sydney. Cool. I'll say that. You do feel like every time I go back there, I'm like, it's not that country. I get there, I'm like, oh no, it's pretty country. There's a lot going on here.
Time would be heaps
different. Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So what was life like back? Say we go back from your earliest memories as a kid were you on a farm?
No, not a farm. We're in town. Where we are now, we're kind of on a bit of land, but I wouldn't say it's a farm. We're back onto farm, like a pine forest and things like that. But mate, I've always had it pretty good. I've been pretty fortunate and blessed to have grown up in a pretty incredible family where we've had to work for things, but it's never been a situation where something was wrong, like we could handle it. So I got a pretty good, amazing family. Got older brother, younger sister, and pretty young parents. I think they had all of us by the time they were 29, and we're now 28, 27, 24, 23. So we're all best mates.
Nice. Youngest is a sister?
Yeah.
Feel sorry for the boyfriend.
Yeah,
3 older.
Gets another one. Yeah, feel bad for her. Yeah.
That probably says enough about past.
No, we've had we were really lucky. Had a really good upbringing. Aubrey's, like I said, it's country, but you don't notice it until you leave. Like you've got everything at your disposal there. It's a really good place to grow up. lots of sport, lots of activity, lots of friendly competition between siblings and that. But yeah, overall, it was really, really good upbringing. A few things probably like my dad and I, obviously best mates in the world, but when he was, when we were growing up, he was working, you know, he'd do 2 weeks in Japan, 2 weeks in America, 2 weeks in Australia. His hours were just insane. He was quite high up at like Mars, Uncle Ben's, that type of stuff. Yeah, so he was incredibly smart. And when you're a kid, you don't see that. You're like, I don't like this guy. He's never here. Like, and when they do get back, they're stressed. And we never realised, well, I never realised that Mum's like, you guys are identical. It petrifies her how similar we are, and that's obviously why we used to clash. So obviously now I see it, and like I'm stoked to be going into business with him with the gym and that. But when I was younger, that was probably one of the biggest things that I used to concern myself with, was like we didn't get along at all. And obviously we did, but I always felt like I was being blamed in that, and it's just because we were so similar and he was never there, and I was probably searching for that figure as well. Yeah,
absolutely, as we all do as kids.
Yeah, 100%.
So especially guys, I feel I was the same. My dad worked very, very hard and didn't travel overseas, but you do want that because it's the masculine figure in your life. And if you sometimes maybe you've got an older brother who can step in, or you've got a pop or a grandpa. Yeah. But ultimately, we all want like a father figure. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you want someone that you can aspire to and be similar to as well. I think growing up we were a bit different in the sense that, you know, the sports we played, Dad was a freak at footy, a machine at cricket, and I was just small, terrible at both. Whereas then I got into adolescence, I was a swimmer and water polo. He wasn't. So like when we got older, obviously we're both in the gym. We love doing things like that. So we have heaps in common now, very similar business mindset. So I think it's just a growing thing as well. But yeah, 100%, you look for that figure in your life. And
it's really cool to see, because I know myself, I'm the same with my old man. We clash heaps still. But was it a moment sort of when you moved this way, that connection got a little bit better because you weren't with him all the time?
I reckon there's a couple of moments, hey. Definitely when I moved away, because I mean having 6 of us in a house is pretty crazy. Then my older brother moved away. Him and Dad are probably most similar. They're both accountants and that, and followed the same career path. And then when I moved away, Dad was in Sydney for work a bit, so we caught up a fair bit. And then I think we just, as I became more the person I am now, not that I've changed a lot, but like some values obviously have, we started to, you know, communicate better, get along better. And I think where we all kind of started to be better was obviously parents in that generation aren't the best at communicating emotion, things like that, as we all know. But I'm pretty open. Like I like to think I can, you know, I say how I feel. If I like someone, I'll tell them. If I'm upset about something, I'll tell them. So I'm very emotionally available like that. And I reckon the first time we all got really, really close when our dog died, funnily enough. So the dad bought the dog for my sister who was getting bullied, everything like that. And then we had to put one down early, and it was like probably the worst week of our life. We were all like emotional, like crying. Never seen my dad cry in my life, and he cried then, like not funerals, anything like that. And it was like, I remember just like giving him a hug, and he's like, oh, it's not your fault. And he like burst into tears. And I was just like, shit. But after that week, that was like, it was probably the toughest week as a group, but it like really showed how lucky we are, how good our family is. And that was pretty powerful, I thought. I think being able to show emotion, that's what I learned from the Lulu thing, but like, you know, being vulnerable but safe at the same time, and having that feeling support is a pretty huge thing. It does big things too.
Yeah. We especially your dad's generation, now all of our dad's generations grew up with being tough. Having that mask, and so they're passing obviously that on. And that's okay. It's all that they know. They're only living from their past.
Absolutely.
And so to see him cry and for him to know and feel that it's okay, is a catalyst.
It was huge.
Catalyst for change, obviously between the relationship, because that's the biggest thing. Is when we're wearing a mask, we're not surrendering. We're not surrendering to our emotions. We're not showing our true self.
You're not losing,
We've got a little soul in here that's dying to jump out and be emotional and cry and love. So he probably got a hint of that. And got a hint and let that soul out a little bit. And that's really cool, man. That's really cool. I feel like we have so much in common. It's similar. These turns of events similar to how me and my dad's relationship went. But when was water sports introduced?
So we always swam from a young age, and that it was probably by, I reckon, year 3, 4, I started to realise I was okay at it, and I got into it and enjoyed it, and, you know, you start winning like school champion, age champion, stuff like that. And I reckon year 6, I started to play water polo, and because I'd played basketball, I had the coordination, I was like, not too bad at this, and then kept swimming, was, you know, to make states, things like that. But then it was probably year 9, 10 where I started to get quite good at water polo and started travelling to Canberra, Sydney, playing a bit of high level. And then, year 11, 12, I was playing most rep, like, you know, New South Wales country, Australian country type stuff. And that was when it got, and then I moved up here originally for water polo as well, so at Macquarie. So I think we won silver at uni games, gold at uni games, and then played seconds at Drummoyne for a bit as well. But obviously wasn't meant to be, it wasn't quite as good as I wanted to be. But yeah, that was a bit later I got into it. But he was always supportive of it, everyone was. But yeah, we had a good team. We had an awesome team, actually. I think we made 4 out of 5 finals in a row, which was fun, yeah. So, yeah.
Back end of school, making the move up here, it wasn't for water polo, it was for your studies? And
no, it was for studies, and I always wanted to do my sport up here. So, yeah, Cairo originally, there was only a few places you could do it. There was one in Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney, and I love Sydney. Sydney was always going to be home for me. I love the beach. I like being by the beach. It's the lifestyle I always wanted, and I always knew I'd end up here. But yeah, water polo was a big factor as well. I was like, I want to play my sport up there. Like, if I'm going to get anywhere, it'll be there. And I always wanted to get out of Aubrey. I think like I said, the person I'm now is very different to the person I was back then in terms of looks, feel, everything like that as well, I guess. So, like school wasn't horrible for me. It wasn't great though. Like, there's definitely periods where you don't like it, and while I was at one school from year 7 to 10, I hated that. Like, got bullied, like I was overweight, like not happy, people pick on you, and then, you know, as you get older, things change and you change, and
So how long after school did you make the leap over here?
Straight away. I finished in the December, then moved up school finished whenever HSC did, and then I moved up pretty much straight away, straight into school, straight up to college at Macquarie Uni. So I was pretty fortunate. Me and my cousin both did Cairo originally, so she came up. We both lived on campus, but other than that, I had like uncles and aunties, but knew no one else at school, which, you know, can be pretty intimidating when you're at a Sydney college, and it's, you know, very pretentious. You do get, not the college itself, but, you know, the boys, you get all the don't want to say which private schools, but like you get private school boys, they all get together, they all know each other because they're like, oh shit, we've all done this before, we don't know these guys.
And you're trying to break through.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when most of these boys are, you know, big rugby boys, they got, you know, 3 or 4 years of strength training on them. I'm a short little fat kid there, it's like, oh shit. So but no, it was good. Like, I enjoyed it. It was unreal. Like, didn't have any bad experiences there at all. Cool. But it's a tough transition. Like, even, you know, being the one to go have to introduce yourself to people, whether it be a guy or girl, but having to just go, fuck, if I don't do this, no, I'm not going to talk to anyone. Like, having to take that first step, and I think a lot of people do struggle with that. Yeah. So,
especially, were you a extroverted, introverted kind of person?
Introverted, 100%. And I still am. Like, I'm in a situation I'm confident in, I'm not. Introverted. Like, so with work, like, I know, like, I'm confident, I know what I've got to say, what I've got to do, but definitely still introverted in some ways, like, but I've gotten better at opening up conversation, things like that as well. But
how were you in the party scene? Were you a big partier, or
yeah, definitely. But I've always one that's you know, I like to think I'm always in control of everything I'm doing. I would never put myself in a situation where I'm not. So if I've ever, you know, had like 2 or 3 big weekends in a row, I like pull myself in. I'm like, fuck, like, you're not this person. You don't want to be the loudest in the room, you never do, and I'll always reel myself back. So definitely used to be more than I am now. Like, I'd probably drink 1 night a week, and that's a Saturday, if that. Whereas I used to go Friday, Saturday, back in the day when I was a bit younger. Now that hangovers are a thing. Like I said, if I do ever overdo it, I get that anxiety that kicks me back in pretty quickly, and I'm like, right, where do I need to be? What do I need to be doing? Like, I've always got that good little man sitting on my shoulder telling me what to do, and I think always, like, what would Dad say? I've got family members that couldn't do that. You know, they've got addiction problems, and you know, for them, that's not an option. Like, they need to, you know, understand that some people just can't do that. Some people, maybe you can't drink, maybe you can't do other stuff, maybe you shouldn't gamble. So in that sense, I think, you know, you've got to assess your mental capacity and where you are, and if you can do it or not. And that can be a hard thing for people to see, particularly across families. Like, why are they allowed to drink? Why can't I drink? Like, you're allowed to get drunk, but not understanding the consequence of, people are on different levels. People start on different levels, and what's addicted to me might not be addictive to you. And I don't necessarily mean drugs. I mean alcohol. I mean gambling. I mean anything like that.
So the study was pretty easygoing?
Nah, not by a long shot, no. So the first 3 years are pretty cruisy, because it's an undergrad, so undergrad and a doctorate. So the doctorate, I knew I had to get good marks. The undergrad, I was kind of whatever. And it wasn't too bad. Like, I'm pretty fortunate in the sense I've got a pretty good memory, and I can, like I said, I thrive off the anxiety. If I go into assignment due on the Wednesday, that Monday, I'm like, all right, let's roll, and I'll knock it out in the day. But when it got to fourth year, that was tough. Like, we were 45 hours a week contact. I was working so I could pay rent, so it was 20 hours. So I was probably the most structured I've ever been. So I had a long-term girlfriend then. She was living in London at the time. So I'd get up at 6, Skype her, go to uni from 8 till 5, get the bus to Chatswood, and then work at a bottle from like 5:30 till 9 and do it all again. And the days I didn't work there, I went to the gym, or went to the gym before in the morning. That was like 5 days a week. Then I'd work the Saturday, Sunday. So that was like the most disciplined I reckon I've ever been. And that was tough. That was a long 2 years. And then the second year of the Masters was, probably 30 hours of uni, but then 15 hours of placement and then work as well. So it was, they were long years. Like, I don't think I've ever worked that many hours in my life since. It was full on. Like, it's a tough degree. For something I use none of it now. It was a tough degree.
Did you say, you referenced the girl that you were dating there. Are you still with her?
No, I'm not. No, she's doing her own thing now. She's all good. So we were together probably 5 years. Then she's moved to London for a year, and
you did long distance from
we did. It worked. It was fine. And then when she got back a year later, we just weren't. I probably wasn't the same person. I'd changed a lot. I was a bit more confident in myself. I'd grown into a different person, I think. And but like, we have no hard feelings. Like, we still have the same friendship group. We still catch up now and then. She's doing really well. But that was the tough thing, because it was like all at once. So she wanted to go do her thing in London, which is totally fair. But doing that while studying, trying to work, trying to communicate it all, that was tough. That was a tough year. It was a long year. We would have about 15 exams at the end of every semester as well. So that was full on. So
that was for a whole year, yeah?
Yeah, the fifth year as well was, it's pretty much the same thing, just with clinical practice as well. So full on. That was probably one of the tougher years in my life, I reckon. But having that plan in place, knowing that, like I said, thriving off that, all right, this is what we're going to do. It was just knowing it was a long-term thing versus a short-term, 2 days to cram an assignment, was good. And I was in a good group of mates as well who were all going through the course, and we all smashed it out together. So it was, that was tough, but it was good.
It's a massive thing, and what we're obviously trying to work on and trying to create is trying to find or get guys to understand that having a support network is so fucking important. So, you would have obviously had a lot on your plate at that time, and things would have been tough with your partner being away as well, but you obviously had those mates there that were...
Yeah, so I lived with one mate, which was an awesome thing. I'd moved out of college that year, and he was my best mate at the time. We lived together. It was good. Like, we were both pretty in tune with what we were doing. And then because the value with Cairo doing it was you had the same year group from 1 to 5. So you're all in it together, so it was kind of a good bond. We were pretty fortunate in the sense that everyone was in the same boat, and we all stuck together and worked as a good cohesive unit. But definitely can't stress the importance of having that behind you, whether it be from family and friends, and I think particularly having a group you can communicate with, which is one of the big things I got out of the huddle, having a group with Lululemon that you can all talk about those things. And even still, since that, we've had I'll get a call each day from one of the guys. I'll call one of the guys, even as just a check-in. Like, if you're feeling down, all it takes is to see that phone ringing, or someone to call you and be like, how are you? And time you might be like, oh, fuck off, I'm busy. But you always feel better after a call. You never feel worse going like, oh God, I can't stand that guy calling me.
And knowing that person's, there to actually give that time for you because they care for you.
So I got a lot out of that. We can talk more about that later, but
we'll jump into it. When was that, this year?
Yeah, so that was October, mid-October. So Lululemon, which is, I don't know if you guys know too much about them, but they're far more than a clothing brand. They're a lot of they just want to get the best out of people, I think, whether it's in their company or outside of it. And they basically put on an event called The Huddle, where they went around to all their stores and communities, and they asked for people that are making a difference in their community. And I fortunately was one of the people they picked. So So they had people from mostly Asia Pac, but across the world as well. And collectively got 30 of us together, flew us down to a winery called Mitchelton, and we had no idea what we were doing. We hadn't been told anything. They were like, get ready to sweat, get ready to learn, workshops, all this. We're like, fuck, I spent a month getting fit for it. I was like, I'm going to get shredded. I'm going to have to... Literally, I was like training. Well, I know like Benny Seymour, who's good mates with Pap, he was going as well. And Benny's a machine, if you've ever seen the bloke train. And I was like, fuck, I'm not getting up next to Benny if I can't train. I was like training the house down. And then we get there and it's like a couple of training sessions, but like nothing crazy. And it was like a full workshop, like 3 days really looking at men's health and mental health and creating conversations and, you know, getting that conversation started, and then how we can send that back, how we can do that, take that to our communities and how work from there. And the fact that they got 30 guys together who were all on the same page was just incredible. Like, it was a testament to not knowing much at all. And it was an unreal group because, you know, there was professional athletes there. There was 4 AFL players, a couple of rugby boys, and everyone just had different stories. And it was good. It was like as soon as all 30 of us got there, we were all on the same page, ready to talk. And they put on a good workshop. Like, it was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had. Like, I don't like to use the term life-changing loosely, but it was incredible. It changed the way I look at things, feel about things, respond to situations. It was really, really good. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff we did. A lot of group activities, a lot of opening up, sharing. Cool. But some of the stuff they did was just incredible. Like, I think getting guys onto that level is a pretty hard thing to do. And I think in that setting it was a bit easier because we all knew there was a purpose that we were there, which helped. But they broke us down in the right way, and I guess helped develop us as characters, as people, as men, to then go take that back to our communities to do more with it. And that was one of the things I got, do more with the time you've got, give more, be charitable, whether it's, you know, financially, energy. It might be for me doing a swim like I am, or someone else, you know, just helping out somewhere, but you can always do more.
You're doing a swim.
I am, yeah. So it's
Bondi to Bronte? Yeah,
Bondi to Bronte. It's about anywhere from like 2.2 to 3 Ks open water. I've given myself about 4 weeks to train for it. So it's
you tied it in for the Lululemon workshop. You can do it here.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how we go. It'll be it's about 2.6 K. I say it'll end up being. So I started training 2 weeks. So I used to be a swimmer, so I'll be able to finish it comfortably. Whether I can do it in the time I want will be a different story. But yeah, I'd essentially just, like I said, with the Lulu stuff, I always thought I can do more and combine my passions with my purpose and what I want to do. And it was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, I can obviously have other things I want to do in terms of men's health and mental health, but this is a start, even just getting the awareness out there. And like I think I said in the post, I was like, whether you donate or not, the first thing you can do is ask someone, how are they? And actually listen, not just go, how are you? Yeah, cool. Yeah. Have that conversation, is everything all right? Yeah, actually listen to them. One thing we talked about there was, if you're a talker, don't talk, listen. If you're a listener, fucking speak up for once. And that was a big thing for me because I generally, like, I'm one to sit there and go, let's talk about this. I'll talk. Whereas being in that situation where it's like just sit back and not do anything. So the last day we did like TED Talk type things, and people got up, voice their thoughts, opinions, or situations, and some of them gut wrenching. Like, you know, some of the stories are like just incredible. I'll leave some of the boys to get on here and talk to you, but like
this is at Lululemon.
Yeah, at this event. So some of the boys, I'll try to get them to come talk with you, but just the story is incredible. Like how one of my mates, his dad had terminal cancer while 18 to 22, and he was his primary health carer. And like, you know, you're hearing these stories and like just, I've never seen like not a dry eye in the room. Everyone's just, and like everyone's getting on the same level, like talking about it. And and that was one of those days where I was like, I don't need to talk. I'm here to listen. Like, I'm fortunate enough that I've never had, to me, anything in my life that's at that level. And so I was like, I'm here to listen. That's my purpose with it. I don't need to be the one going, hey guys, I've had a fucking hard life, but I can be the one to help. I can be the support. I can provide the environment, whether it be with the clinic, with the gym. So yeah, that was one of the big things I took away from it. Yeah, you don't have to have had that experience, which I should have known with clinic. Like, people come to me, I haven't had shoulder pain all the time, but I fix it. So, but yeah, it was just a really, really powerful couple of days, and that's what I wanted to do with the swim. I was like, you don't have to donate. If you can, great. But you know, even just having that conversation with someone and knowing where to steer it after is a good way. So that's what I'm going to try over the next couple of weeks, is just push, you know, get the money up there, which is, I think it's at $500 already out of $1,000. So probably have to bump that up a bit. But but yeah, it just pushed the stigma away that, you don't have to talk about these things. There's people there that do want to listen. Your mates should want to listen. One of the big things we talked about was tall poppy syndrome, and I think we hit the nail on the head with that. A lot of people these days put people down when they're not sure what they want with themselves, and a lot of interesting conversations came out of that, and it was good. It was a really good couple of days, so I couldn't recommend it enough.
It's funny, like you saying, like, if people can't donate to your swim, just raise awareness somehow. Just talk to someone. That's all the end goal is. That's where the money's going anyway.
Absolutely.
So you're doing two jobs in one. So you're raising money for sure, but you're doing what the money's going to be doing in the first place.
Absolutely.
Which is raising that awareness. What obviously that's kind of the swim speaks to you, being that you grew up in the water. What and the mental health awareness. Have you done anything like this before?
No, not really. No, like I've done charitable stuff. So I've worked at Surf Aid the last 3 or 4 years, which is the World Surf Comp. They go around, they do it in Manly and Bondi every year, and I'll like donate my time, and any money that people come to see me just goes straight to that. We've done stuff here where we'll donate like 5-10% of our treatments to whatever charity it might be, but nothing quite like that. And I think part of that trip with Lulu was finding my purpose with this type of stuff, because like I said, I was like, fuck, how do I tie into this? I haven't had any mental health issues, not that I'll consider like, horrible, and not that they have to be considered horrible, but I've always been comfortable with where I've been at, or if I haven't, I've talked to someone. I've talked to my parents or whatever. But that was kind of what I got from that, like my purpose with what I want to do with it. And that was an easy way to start. Like long term for me, I'd love to have in my gym space, once a month where we all do a big work, and then we get chairs in a collective and sit down and go, all right, how are we all? Let's talk about something that's good in the last month, something that's been bad, and then have a psych come in. Like I said to you guys earlier, I think it's pivotal that people understand what they can say, what they can't say, and when it's not okay to just talk about it. And at least having the psych come in and go, hey, cool, this is what I can do, this is what you guys can do, this is where I fit in, how do you access me? People go on Instagram, they can look for a chirophysio or whatever. Not many people go on Instagram looking for a psychologist, but there'd be people out there that could. So like I think even knowing how to get to those networks, getting rid of that stigma that, I'm seeing a therapist, like people have no issue coming to me with a back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, but they look at like, oh fuck, I've got mental health issues, fuck, I'm not going to go talk to them, I'm just going to bury it.
Back pain is a weakness that heaps of people can have, and it's okay. You say, oh, I've got a sore back. Like people, it's not that people will judge you, but you fear that they will. You fear that people will perceive you as weak. And that's a whole thing, especially with young dudes, man. Especially with young dudes where they think, oh, I'm devastated and I feel nothing, I'm depressed and whatever. But there's no way I'm going to open up to my mates about this, and there's no way if they find out I'm going to a psychologist, like
exactly.
What are they
You're crazy.
Like the idiot. You look like the weakling, and it's just not the case.
No,
it's
absolutely.
Just not the case. And I know Jared has been seeing a psychologist for a while but for his business, because he knows the benefits of talking about your emotions and stuff, and bringing that into the workplace as well. That's just one area.
Absolutely. Sports psychology is a huge thing. I deal with a lot of high level athletes, and that, and most of them will have a psychologist, whether it's bringing out that intrinsic motivation after 2 or 3 years of doing something at a high level, or finding other factors. There's so many other ways to influence psychology. It doesn't have to be that mental health aspect of it, but it's got the stigma around that side of it that's like, oh, you're a freak, why are you going there, you're crazy. Like and I think people don't realise that a psychologist doesn't prescribe medication. Psychiatrist does. You're not going there to get drugged up because something's wrong. Like it could be cognitive behavioural therapy, it could be neurolinguistics, it could be biopsychosocial stuff. It doesn't have to be like, we're doing this, like you're taking this drug, that's what's happening. So
it's fascinating, and especially like you were saying before, being equipped to make recommendations or give advice or this kind of stuff is, I've started seeing the last 6 months just of my life being a lot more open and aware of what depression is and what anxiety is, and having felt small waves of it, even feeling that, you're kind of just like, wow, what I thought would have been good advice for someone who has depression before being through that in a small dose, I now know that is just
might have done heaps of fuck all. Yeah,
sure. And I guess it's right place, right time. Maybe it's just offering to listen and offering people we don't want to be told what to do. That's why psychologists do such a great job, and life coaches and stuff like that, is that if they're good at their job, all they're doing is asking the questions and allowing them to discover the answer within themselves.
Well, it's like seeing me. People are like, oh, when you fix you, I don't fix you. I'll show you what to do. But I'm not going to do the strengthening for you. Like, no passive technique in any sense is ever going to give you an active result. That's the truth across any form of health. You taking a drug won't fix something. Me cracking your neck or adjusting you or soft tissue, doing needling, that won't fix it. You've got to do the work. Your body requires a stimulus, whether that be mental or physical. Until you do that, it won't get better. Yeah,
absolutely. I reckon we jump into, and this is not my area of expertise, but I'd love to jump into a little bit about what you do.
Cool.
So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, man. So, you were saying you work with a few elite athletes at the moment. Yeah. What sort of sporting codes?
So I've got a few of my mates play AFL, so I'll help them out now and then. I'm not going to say because I'm not allowed. But a few swimmers as well, a couple of Olympic level swimmers. I have two of those, a high jumper in the Australian team. Mostly powerlifting though, that's probably powerlifting athletics. So it depends where they're at. Sometimes it is just maintenance. It's just that care to make them feel better. So I always give this spiel when I'm talking to people that there's 4 things that will create a physiological adaptation in the body, and that's sleep, food, hydration, and stress. Yeah, nothing else we do will alter that. Yeah, exercise creates the load they can, but if you're not eating enough, it won't create the adaptation. You'll injure yourself. Yeah, anything treatment wise doesn't. Yeah, it modulates the way it modulates your perception. Me adjusting your neck doesn't create a physiological change. It makes it feel better. Yeah.
Again, it's down to that person doing the work.
Yeah, the massage, it feels good. You're not releasing a muscle. You're just making it feel better. Yeah, but if those things affect your stress, you walk out feeling better. That's going to affect your stress, which has a physiological effect on your recovery and injuries, things like that. Yes. If someone likes getting an ice bath or something like that, they'll have a good physiological response to it. Their stress will decrease, their cortisol drops, so they'll help them recover. Someone hates a sauna and they're sitting there like, fuck this, I don't like this. It's not going to help them. And it's the same with treatment, and that's why no soft tissue modality is better than another, because they're all just there to modulate your perception of pain. So it doesn't mean they're not necessary by any means. I still treat people 15, 20, 30 minutes, but it's not the end result. If that's helping someone get through their week and they're happy to pay the money to do that, I'm totally fine to do that. But if they are only get better, like, cool, this isn't what fixes you, this does, and I'll take them through loading. So very much strength conditioning based stuff, finding what exercises they need, where they're at, whether it's motor control, whether it's strengthening, whether it's endurance, and building a program based off that. Because the idea is, A, it's affordable, they don't have to do it in here, and B, it actually gets them better. It actually fixes them, So if I can give them that, they don't have to keep coming back to me. And the idea for me is I can then have the gym and have the environment for them to do it. So what me and my mate are trying to run is semi-private strength conditioning based off their rehab, which will be fillers in the program, but then also our basic strength template that we're going to put together as well. And then everything's tracked and loaded. So that's more of what I do now. I still do the old school chiro stuff, but
I was going to ask that. So you're still like cracking?
Not as much. I think, when you careful what I say here, but I think a lot of, not necessarily just chiros, a lot of chiros, physios, osteos, anyone in that realm, sometimes they think the hands-on stuff does more than it does. And you got to be careful with what you say there, because it makes people passive and it makes them reliant on you, which in any case isn't good. If someone's got chronic pain, they're reliant on me touching them. If they don't get a crack, they're like, oh, it's not better. What happened? It's worse. Which it's just a psychological component. Placebo, absolutely. Placebo is a powerful thing. So I still do hands-on treatment. I still adjust to that where I deem necessary. But, to me, it's not having that big effect that we used to think it was. If someone comes in with a disc bulge in the neck, I'm not going to adjust it. I'm going to stabilize the area. Why did they get that there? They probably couldn't load. They weren't tolerant of load. They probably can't stabilize around this. I'll work on that. Once it's pain-free or moving better, if I think it's going to help with their pain or improve some more movement, I'll do it, but I'll weigh up the risk versus reward a lot more. And but ultimately, like, if someone comes in and they're like, oh, you can do one or the other, I'll give them exercises straight away. It doesn't take away from treatment. I still do treatment and it helps people feel better, but it doesn't fix them.
It's funny, man. It's I guess that new age kind of treatment that you're starting to implement, probably based off new science that's coming in and just results as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it shows, yeah. So I think people forget that chiro or physio, they're not a technique, it's a profession. It's a profession based off evidence of what works and what doesn't work. Now, there's always going to be a blurred line with evidence-based practice because you've got what clinically works, what's good for the patient, that psychosocial response to it. Okay. Like I said, if someone hates dry needles, yet I think that's what they need, I'm not going to give it to them. I'm not going to have a great response. But if they like getting their mid-back adjusted, and I'm like, it's not going to hurt them, but it actually improves their range of motion plus the loading, then that's an evidence-based way to treat them. Yeah?
Interesting. So in most cases, and this could be a stupid question, I'm going to ask you.
No, you're right.
So say you've got someone who's got lower back pain.
Yep.
I show a little bit of lower back pain. Say you've got a range of techniques that can fix that, whether it's chiro, traditional chiro, cracking the head, or massage or acupuncture or stuff like that. Can you use any of those techniques? But obviously the one that's going to work the most is what they have that psychological. Yeah,
it's more informed off what I think, what they think, and then what will work as well. So if someone comes in with low back pain, like I'll do an assessment, like a movement assessment, see why it's actually happening. So let's say it's a power lifter at 120 kilos on their squat, they're getting pain. I'll look at their squat, I'll load it up to that weight generally if I can, if they're not super acute. Depends what stage they're at, obviously. Let's say they're getting like a pinch in their hip at the front, and then we load it to 120, and all of a sudden we start to see them shift their weight. So cool, we know at that weight one leg's doing more than the other. Now in a squat, it's either a quad or a glute thing. Generally, it's a quad dominant movement. So I'll test it. I'll do some fatigue testing, 5RM, and see if there's a difference one side to the other greater than maybe 10%. If there is, I'm like, cool, it's probably what's causing it. Look at the glutes, do some similar things. Then we'll look at the joints itself and see how well they brace, how well they control movement. Because if they're doing everything up until 110 kilos right, they're not weak.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be silly to go, oh, fuck, you're weak, let's get you doing some side planks. Yeah? But, if it's at 120 kilos, they start to buckle or something changes. It could be as simple as their brace. It could be their foot position. It could be that one glute fatigue is greater than the other. So that's where I'll kind of draw what I want to do. And then in terms of treatment-wise, whether I'm doing massage or active release or needling, it's kind of just what I feel at the time. There's certain areas I'll needle more. And adjusting, I'll generally stick to the areas that are tight. So certain joints in the body are built more for mobility, others for stability. Like our upper back generally needs a lot more mobility. So I'll generally adjust most people through there. The neck at the top I'll adjust, but at the same time, if someone's like, oh, look, I'm not real big on adjusting, I'm like, okay, cool. Doesn't bother me. There's plenty of other ways I can get it moving better. I think with adjusting though, it does feel good. And that's and some people, if they're sitting like this all day and you create space in that area, it feels great. But yeah, so I'll base it off all those things. If I think there's a risk there, like say someone's come to me with nausea, drop attacks, vertigo, vomiting, I'm not going to get any of their neck. I'll be like, cool, let's have a look. I'll do a full assessment. But if I'm like, look, there's a risk here, I'll either just treat basic, very conservatively, or I'll be like, look, I think we need to send you off to someone else pretty quickly, see what's going on. But so I'll pick whatever modalities I want, and I'll go, cool, let's give you the rehab, and then I'll build their sets and reps based off what we found. If we found it 15 reps they failed, we might build their leg extensions 3 sets of 10 at the same weight, and then progress it. So
that's cool. That's really cool. Normally we dive into a couple of ending questions, but given how much expertise you have, what's probably some stuff, a couple of things that just for your everyday person, not someone who's struggling with pain, but more preventative, maybe exercises, techniques, things like that you can give to a young dude.
Yeah, sure.
Who's maybe he's going to the gym three days a week, knows his basic movements, just preventatives that can make sure he stays
for
healthy.
Sure. Warm up. So I think a lot of people will just go in there, jump on the treadmill for a bit, but warm up should be a movement prep. Should be prepping for what you're about to do. If I'm about to deadlift, I know hammies, glutes, core, I need to work those. I need to work some hinge patterns. So warm up based off what you're about to do, whether it be running, sprinting, swimming, whatever. That's the first thing you should do. So making sure you're doing that right. And I think a lot of people neglect it because when you're young, you're resilient, your body's so powerful, you can get away with anything until you hit 25, 26, 27, you start to feel these aches and pains that wouldn't be there if you'd done that then, or might not have been. The second thing is learn the basics. Do the basics properly. Squat, hinge, press, push, pull, walk, run. Build off those. You know, everyone tries to do all these fancy little fucking exercises in the gym. Like, you know, they might improve the 1%, but, you know, if you can bench, deadlift, squat heavy, or squat properly, they're the good building blocks for anything, and that's what will put on that size that most people want to put on when they're younger. And then seek help. Definitely, yeah, if you're not sure what to do, don't go in there feeling like it's like seeing someone for mental health. Yeah, if you're not sure what to do, talk to someone.
Sure. Yeah.
And then track your load. That's the one thing I say. A lot of people don't understand load management principles, but inherently, if you're in a gym, there's really only a few ways you can get injured. You know, acute injury, you trip over and roll your ankle, maybe. Someone drops a plate on you. It's all load management. Too much, too soon, and too short a time frame. Now, there might be some, you know, everyone's like, oh, your posture or like your form was shit. But if you have shit form and you load that same pattern the same way at the right rate, you inherently won't get injured. Your body's an adaptable organism. It's going to load. Yeah. It's going to be okay. You watch the best deadlifters in the world. Some of their form's horrible. Yeah. They've done that form day in, day out, and those muscles are used to loading that position, and they've progressed to like, you know, 10% a week. They're going to be okay. Yeah. So, you know, learn how to track your load, track your volume, things like that, because I'd say 95% of injuries in the gym is a load management thing, and that's why I'm so busy at the moment. People come back to summer, they're like, yep, I want to get the body again. 6 weeks of overloading, their acute to chronic workload ratio is out the window. And for me, it's like, I could draw this up, like this is an obvious graph of how much you fucked this up, but they just don't get it. But if you really learn how to track loads, deload, things like that, you can save yourself a number of injuries ever happening, ever occurring, whether it be rugby, returning to injuries, footy, gym. But they're probably the four things: warm up, do the basics, ask, and then tracking. Yeah, and
awesome, man. That's brilliant. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I know. I don't do that enough. Cool, man. So I wanna, and you'll probably, I'm guessing you'll probably draw something for Lululemon here, but going back, say you're 21 again. Yep. You're 29.
27.
27. Yeah. You look
still a baby.
Still a baby.
I'll take it.
All right. 6 years ago, you are where you were. Probably crushing study, crushing work, working super hard. Take everything that you've learned up until now, everything you've experienced. What's one piece of advice you would give yourself when you were 21, or even maybe when you were 16, or whatever age you probably didn't know enough or didn't know what you know now? What advice would you give that self?
I'll probably say 16 because I feel like at 21 my mindset was pretty similar. I was always, but at 16 I was like, trust the process. Like I was getting probably bullied then. I wasn't fit. I wasn't like I was pretty overweight, but I was a skinny kid, wasn't good at footy, and just was in a situation where a couple of boys at school being arseholes to me, and I just remember being like, I fucking hate this. Like I hate these guys, hate this, that. But I remember like my dad always being like your time will come. Like trust the process. He's like, in the not narrowing ways, like, but he's like you're not for school. Like you'll be after school. That's where you'll shine. And I always like had that in my head that just trust where you want to get and you'll get there. Like I knew like I'd get my stuff together. It wasn't a bad thing being the smartest at the school or being intelligent. Yeah, being different in other sports, being better at other things, being in control of your emotions. Actually, a more powerful thing. These blokes just hadn't worked it out yet. And so yeah, I reckon I'd go back to myself and just be like, look, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Trust the process. And you'll get there. And sure enough, I did. I remember getting to 18 being like, yeah, this is my time to shine. I'm going to Sydney, got to 21 and like, things were working out. And yeah, and I was happy. I think trying to think what I would say to myself at 21. But like I funnily enough, probably don't get this a lot, but I've actually followed everything I wanted to do. Like by 25, I was like, I want to have my own clinic. I want to make this much money. I want to be married. So that was obviously not it's the one that didn't work out, but everything else I was like, I followed the timeline of what I wanted, and so it's been pretty fortunate in that sense. But just do whatever you're doing, do it with purpose and trust it. There's going to be shit times for everyone, whether they deem it bad or not. I look back at it now and I'm like, oh, it's not bad at all, but then at the time, like, it's horrible. Like I hated it. And there are the minor little things, his girlfriend, I look at it now, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But when you're 21, you've been together 3 years, and in your head space, you want to be married at 25. It's like, fuck. And you find like that's what your parents did. Everything looks fine and dandy. It does make a big impact on you then. But just think that everything happens for a reason. And just trust it. Yeah. What you're doing is right.
You've obviously earned it. like you say, you haven't been through much adversity wise and all this kind of stuff, but you're fortunate enough to have that emotional intelligence early on. You worked your ass off and you crushed it. So it's you've probably had those little things like throughout the day where you're just like, fuck this, I just want to. Like,
I think it's probably little things. It definitely was times, but nothing where I've a major depressive. You get those waves, like you said.
Yeah, I guess those the ones that people claim as adversities are other long ones, which obviously are big and they're great. Yeah. But definitely day to day, we're always battling. But man, you've done super well to get here. How many? So you've got. What's your plans the next 12 months?
Give them a little wrap down of what you've got coming up.
What I've got coming up, I've got hopefully opening the gym in the next 3 to 4 months. That's the main goal at the moment. I looked at going back and studying. I was going to go back and do medicine, but
you don't stop, bro.
Yeah, I'm always wondering what the next phase is going to be, and looking 10 years ahead. But this is what I want to do at the moment, and I want to get that going. And I think it's a pretty surreal thing to work with your dad to be able to do that together, so that'll be pretty unreal. And it's been a goal of mine for a while to get movement's medicine to me. It's and that's what I want to envision in people and get them away from the idea that you need to be seeing someone to get better. You don't. You need a program. You need a plan. Sure. And that plan doesn't mean you have to see someone week in, week out. It might at times. Yeah. But if you're feeling good, when you get that message, you shouldn't directly go, fuck, maybe I am sore. Yeah. You don't have to come in. You don't have to see someone. If you're following things, trust the process, trust the fact that you're planned things, everything's tracked, everything's loaded. And so ideally have the gym and the clinic going pretty soon. Yeah. Beyond that, at the moment, it's just cruising, just living, like enjoying what I do. I've got a pretty good setup with family and friends in Bondi and that, and I'm loving that. I always try to see my family a fair bit. We're all super close, but ideally get that going. I would love to do the same thing in Bondi in a couple of years, but keep traveling. I love traveling. I think travel's good for everyone. I think you learn a lot about yourself when you travel, particularly if you're forced to be on your own for a bit. It is eye-opening as much as people. Yeah, so it's life-changing that it can be. I think it's a pretty powerful thing. You really learn a lot about yourself when you're away. I've certainly been pretty spontaneous when I've travelled on my own, and I don't regret one bit of it. It's been really cool. It's definitely helped me grow as a person. But that's really all in the foreseeable future at the moment. We've got to do a couple more podcasts and that, but ideally I want to stay involved with Lululemon. They're a company to me that just...
I like that. Really
mate, they just excel above any other brands I see at the moment, particularly with what they do. Like, they sent 30 guys down to this winery, which is upwards of $700 a night. Yeah, right. And at the end of the day, if we change someone's life, it doesn't go back to them. Like, they did that whole thing with no monetary return. That, if we promote their brand or clothes, great, but like they actually just give a shit about people, and it only takes you to ask anyone who works at the company what they do, and they're pretty powerful. Like, even since we've come back, had lunch with them the other day. They're like, how can we help you? It's not like, what can you do for us? It's like, what can we do to promote you? What can we do for your swim? How can we get involved with your gym? Like, they're just
trying to create a movement.
They are, literally. It's really good. So they're really good company to be involved with, so hopefully I'll keep pushing that, and I'd love to get them involved.
Well, dude, move to the big smoke out of the country, and it sounds like you've been absolutely fucking killing it since. So again, we appreciate your time massively. I know that you're busy and heading over to your other practice now.
Now off till 8 o'clock tonight.
Awesome. Just quickly, where can people find you if they want to follow you?
If they want to follow me, Instagram's probably the best. I'm on Facebook as Luke White Sports Chiro, but just Luke_Whitey. If anyone has any questions, whether it be aches or pains or just a chat, I'm always here. But thank you guys for having me.